you're taking responsibility for keeping your inner child safe. You, as the adult, have survived, and this can be transformational and a lot can come up. Hi, I'm Eve Menezes Cunningham, and you're listening to the Feel Better Everyday podcast. Every Tuesday, I share trauma-informed and ADHD-friendly self-care ideas to help you take better care of yourself and yourself with that uppercase S for that highest, wisest, truest, wildest, most joyful, brilliant, and miraculous part of yourself. So the idea is to help you create a life you don't need to retreat from and feel better every day. So you can find out more at thefeelbettereverydaypodcast.com, and you can also access information about the book 365 Ways to Feel Better, Self-Care Ideas for Embodied Wellbeing, and all the free resources at selfcarecoaching.net, as well as ways in which, if you're interested, each Wednesday the Soul to Soul Circle members get an email and exclusive content, which goes into a deeper dive around that week's podcast theme. So today's episode, episode 73, is about working with our inner children. So especially with trauma and ADHD, inner child work can be painful. And I know I've been going through a bunch of old photos, and I ended up going with this as my main one to work with child of the 70s, early 80s. In the circle, I'll be going into more depth and sharing some of the ways in which I'm working with photos myself and ways in which members can. It's powerful transformational work. You may well have already done some. And this podcast episode is to help you recognize that, again, with trauma, with ADHD. I can't remember the exact number, ADHD brain, but children growing up with ADHD, because we get things wrong, because we're called careless and told we should be trying harder, it's an enormous amount more criticism that we've internalized than our counterparts who are more neurotypical. And that has an impact on our inner children. We grow up with a lot of shame. With trauma recovery, there's an enormous amount of shame where we were too little to kind of save ourselves, but we still internalize. Inner child work can be transformative and joyful, and also really painful. So that picture I chose, I hadn't remembered it, but I was actually looking for a different picture, which I remembered from when I started my inner child work, like more consciously, coming up 2 decades ago, and finding a picture of myself at age 5 or 6 on a bike, like very 1970s, 1980s, on the cul-de-sac I lived on at the time. And when I saw it the other day, it was like, oh, what a sweet little kid, because I've done so much inner child work. Whereas back then I was filled with loathing and disgust for her. Like, why hadn't she done more to save herself? And if, when I'm saying to you, you might want to find a photo to represent these different inner children for yourself, I'm talking to you not as a one-to-one trauma therapist, but through a podcast. I don't know who you are. I don't know where in the world you are. And I am trusting you to look after yourself and your inner children rather than going too deep and finding it more painful than anything needs to be. And again, with trauma, with ADHD, we're used to pain, we're used to things being hard. Inner child work can be delightful, it can be gentle, it can be so healing, but in that not overwhelming, cathartic way. So, thinking about your different inner children, maybe find a picture to represent your playful inner child, your creative inner child, before you kind of, like all of us, creating for the pure joy of it, whether it's painting or drawing or singing or playing music or whatever it, games, like whatever it might have been, before it suddenly became about being good at whatever you were doing. that curious inner child, like you might still have that curiosity, or it might have been conditioned out of you at an early age if your parents were fearful about you getting into trouble and hurting yourself. That wounded inner child, that needy inner child, that inner child that feels too much, that feels not worthy, that feels unlovable. There are going to be joyful elements, joyful inner child subpersonalities, joyful inner children, and also ones that you can't currently sit with. So for the feel part of the feel, love, heal framework, notice how you felt as I've said this so far, and make a note of some of your inner children, or one. Like I'm saying, some of ADHD brain, I generally have a list of about 60 of anything. And be open to finding a photo to represent that or those inner children. Feel free to share them with me. I'd love to see them. Tag me on my social media. The links are in the show notes. Um, if photos feel too much, like I mentioned, I had a terrible experience the first time I tried doing this with mine. I was just overcome with self-loathing. I used a ragdoll. I was encouraged to buy a ragdoll to represent little me, and I did some healing with that using some crystals, some energy work around it. Again, I'll be going into more of this in the circle tomorrow, but just take that step. Just think about that inner child. Know that even if you grew up believing that you were too much, you won't. I had a real epiphany a few weeks ago, and this is, I'm nearly 50. I've been working on my inner child for decades. There's always new levels of healing to come up. But I was in a situation where I was on an island, and an island off island, and I was worried about not having food, my basic need for food not being met. And I was kind of feeling really frustrated both with the restaurants that I'd been in touch with in advance and being told I couldn't even have peas with my chips because, yes, the peas were vegan, but they were only available with the fish, and obviously that's not vegan, but with the pepper allergy as well, and that feeling like I was very much feeling unsafe and like I was too much. And I made the connection that when I went vegetarian when I was like 11, 12, my mum was working, my dad was working. I didn't know it, I had ADHD, and I was very particular about what I would eat. And I didn't like vegetables. And my parents kind of threw up their hands and gave up on me. And I would basically have a packet of Bourbons for lunch, or a feast ice cream, or an iced bun, or I just ate terribly for years and years and years. And then when I went back to eating meat for a few months when I was 17, 18, I had a massive growth spurt. But a few weeks ago, I made this connection when I was kind of thinking, oh, I don't even have any crisps to eat. And it's like, oh my God, yeah, crisps were safe. So all these years where I've eaten more crisps, not so much recently, but I'd often have like 6 packets of crisps for dinner. I'd think I'm not hungry enough to eat a meal. I'll just have a packet of crisps, and then that would become another and another and another. And realizing, wow, my parents did their best. I adore them. And also, they didn't know, it was a different time, it was the 90s. They didn't know how to accommodate my picky eating and being vegetarian when not many people were. I don't know if anyone remembers Bean Feast. Ah, hideous. But recognizing, wow. So I kind of, from pre-verbal, had internalized the idea as a baby that in certain situations, when I was needy or when I was wounded, I was too much. But where I was happy, where I was like enthusiastic and joyful, and that was welcomed, that was like celebrated. So I am a very enthusiastic, nearly 50-year-old that has been kind of conditioned through me. And it's about me now befriending that more wounded, those more wounded parts of myself, the more needy parts of myself, the parts that still sometimes believe that I'm too much, not enough, unlovable, not worthy. And I'm telling you this because I want you to be honest with yourself about the messiness of your own inner children. For the love part of the feel, love, heal framework, If it feels okay for you, if it's within your window of tolerance, sit with an inner child or your inner children. Journal, give them a mental or physical hug, maybe choose a soft toy to connect with, maybe a fabric from a blanket, whatever it might be. Again, you're taking responsibility for keeping your inner child safe. You, as the adult, have survived, and this can be transformational and a lot can come up. So go really gently with yourself. And for the heal part, think about the kids and adults in your life today. Think about what you notice, what you hypothesize about their inner children. Notice the times where perhaps the adults in their lives are human and snap and don't light up with joy when they see the marvels before them, the every child being miraculous, every human being miraculous, and see if there are ways in which you can help like their inner children and kids, like kind of appropriately, obviously, like kind of how can you help, like how can you light up for other people? How can you see them in their wholeness, in their full, playful, creative, curious, and wounded, needy too muchness? Um, Begin to notice those opportunities. As I said, there'll be more tomorrow for the deeper dive for the Soul to Soul Circle members, and you can find out more at selfcarecoaching.net. And I'd love for you to just let me know how you're getting on. Have you done inner child work before? How does it feel now to be revisiting it, or potentially exploring different inner children, ones that you may have neglected in the past, or that it's been a while since you acknowledged? Are you excited? Are you thinking this could be really helpful, but like there's a bit of dread? Honour how you feel. Thank you for listening. I'll be sharing more next week. And this episode, like all of them so far, has been produced by me, your host, Eve Menezes Cunningham. And I really hope that you give yourself some grace and time and patience and care and tenderness and kindness and lots of love for yourself now and your earlier selves, all of them, but particularly whichever inner child or inner children have sprung up for you as you've been listening to this or pondering this. So have a delightful week, and I'll share more next time.